Yay! All right. It is live and good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. I am going to read for you How to See Yourself as You Really Are by Dalai Lama. And this is a translated and edited version by Jeffrey Hopkins, PhD. So, let's see if we have a couple of people. I know one of my friends was interested. Let me send this to him really quick. Make sure that he knows I'm live. And then we're going to get started. And I have a hot water with lemon squeezed. And in my New York mug, thank you, Dexter, I'm going to put on my headphones actually, make sure that the speakers I think I have enough juice for this. Yay, he's online. Okay, let's get started. So, how you see yourself as you really are, part 1. All right. So, just so you guys know, there are, let's see, six parts and then 23 chapters. We're going to be together for a good while. Okay, it says forward. This book by His Holiness the Dalai Lama stems from a basic Buddhist notion that love and insight work cooperatively to bring about enlightenment. So love and insight. Like the two wings of a bird, the overarching theme is that self-knowledge is the key to personal development and positive relationships. The Dalai Lama shows us how, in the absence of true self-knowledge, we hurt ourselves through misguided, exaggerated notions of self, others, external events, and physical things. Even our senses deceive us, drawing us into attachment and negative actions that can only come back to haunt us in the future. The book details how to overcome these mistakes in order to live from a realistic knowledge of our healthy interdependence. The first part of this book shows us how to draw back the deceptive aspect of our experience like a curtain. Other approaches such as suppressing lust and hatred may be helpful, and they do not address this root problem. By directing our attention to the false veneer that so bedazzles our scenes of our thoughts, His Holiness sets the stage for discovering the reality behind appearances. Our tacit acceptance of things as they seem is called ignorance, which is not just a lack of knowledge about how people and things actually exist, but an active mistaking of their fundamental nature. True self-knowledge involves exposing and facing misconceptions about ourselves. The aim here is to find out how we get ourselves into trouble, then learn how to intervene on the ground floor of our counterproductive ideas. Buddhist psychology is known for its detailed descriptions of the mind's workings, and His Holiness uses these insights in a practical way by helping readers catch hold of these processes through their own experience. His central theme is that our skewed perceptions of body and mind lead to disastrous mistakes, ranging from lust at the one extreme to raging hatred at the other, so that we are consistently being led into trouble as if pulled by a ring in our nose. By developing insight into this process, we can free ourselves and those around us from these endless scenarios of pain. This part provides step-by-step exercises to develop our ability to recognize the disparity between how we appear to ourselves and how we actually are. Once we have recognized our warped assumptions for what they are, the second part of the book shows how to undermine them. The tools used to accomplish this transformation are renowned Buddhist reflections for questioning appearances, which the Dalai Lama illustrates with his own experiences. His Holiness guides readers through a variety of practical experiences to help us break down the illusions we have superimposed over and beyond what actually exists, and learn how to act in the world that from a more realistic framework. This calls for valuing for interdependence of all things and appreciating the lattice work of our relationships for the meaningful contribution it makes to our lives. The book's third part describes how to harness the power of meditative concentration with insight to achieve immersion in our own ultimate nature, which undermines our problems at their very foundation. The fourth and fifth parts discuss how people and things actually do exist. Since they do not exist in the way we assume, the Dalai Lama draws readers into noticing how everything depends on thought, how thought itself organizes what we perceive. His goal is to develop in us a clear sense of what it means to exist without misconception. Then the final part of this book explains the way this profound state of being enhances love by revealing how unnecessary destructive emotions and suffering actually are. In this way, the self-knowledge is seen as the key to personal development and positive relationships. Once we know how to put insight in the service of love and love in the service of insight, we come to the book's appendix, an overview of the steps for achieving altruistic enlightenment. This book itself is an illustration of Tibet's contribution to world culture, reminding us of the importance of maintaining a homeland for its preservation. The light shining through the Dalai Lama's teachings has its course in that culture, offering insights and practices that so many of us need in ours. Jeffrey Hopkins, PhD, Emeritus Professor of Tibetan Studies, University of Virginia. Introduction, my perspective. When we rise in the morning and listen to the news or read the newspaper, we are confronted with the same sad stories: violence, wars, and disasters. It is clear that even in modern times, precious life is not safe. I cannot recall a single daily news program without a report of crime somewhere. There is so much bad news nowadays, such as awareness of fear and tension, that any sensitive and compassionate being must question the progress we have made in our modern world. Ironically, the most serious problems emanate from industrially advanced societies, where unprecedented literacy only seems to have fostered relentless and discontent. There is no doubt about our collective progress in many areas, especially science and technology, but somehow our advances in knowledge are not sufficient. Basic human problems remain. We have not succeeded in bringing about peace or in reducing overall suffering. This situation brings me to the conclusion that there may be something seriously wrong with the way we conduct our affairs, which is not checked in time, could have disastrous consequences for the future of humanity. Science and technology have contributed immensely to the overall development of humankind, to our material comfort and well-being, as well as to our understanding of the world we live in. But if we put too much emphasis on these endeavors, we are in danger of losing those aspects of human knowledge that contribute to the development of an honest and altruistic personality. Science and technology cannot replace the age-old spiritual values that have been largely responsible for the true progress of world civilization as we know it today. No one can deny the material benefits of modern life, but we are still faced with suffering, fear, and tension, perhaps more now than ever before. So it is only sensible to try to strike a balance between material development to the one side and develop of spiritual values on the other. In order to bring about a great change, we need to receive and strengthen our inner values. I hope that you share my concern about the present worldwide moral crisis, as you will join me in calling on all humanitarian religious practitioners who share this concern to contribute to making our societies more compassionate, just, and equitable. I say this not as a Buddhist or even as a Tibetan, but simply as a human being. I also do not speak as an expert on international politics, though I unavoidably comment on these matters, but as a part of the Buddhist tradition, which, like the traditions of other great world religions, is founded on the bedrock of concern of all beings, for all beings. From this perspective, I share with you the following personal beliefs. Number one, that universal concern is essential for solving global problems. Number two, that love and compassion are the pillars of world peace. Number three, that all world religions seek to advance world peace, as do all humanitarians of whatever ideology. Number four, that each individual has a responsibility to shape institutions to serve the needs of the world. Let us consider these one by one. Number one, universal concern is essential to solving global problems. Of the many problems we face today, some are natural calamities that must be accepted and faced with equanimity. Others, however, are of our own making, created by misunderstanding, and these are to be corrected. One such problem arises from the conflict of ideologies, political or religious, when people fight one another over their beliefs, losing sight of the basic humanity binding us together as a single human family. We must remember that these different religions, ideologies, and political systems of the world arose to help human beings achieve happiness. We must not lose sight of this fundamental goal. At no time should we place means above ends. We must always maintain the supremacy of compassion over ideology. By far the greatest single danger facing all living beings on our planet is the threat of nuclear destruction. I need not elaborate on this danger, but I would like to appeal to the leaders of the nuclear powers who literally hold the future of the world in their hands, to the scientists and technicians who continue to create these awesome weapons of destruction, and to all people at large to exercise sanity and to disarm. We know that in the event of a nuclear war, there will be no victors because there will be no survivors. It is not frightening just to contemplate such inhuman and heartless destruction? Or is it not frightening just to contemplate such inhuman and heartless destruction? And is it not logical that we should remove the potential cost for our own destruction once we recognize it? Often we cannot overcome a problem because we do not know its costs, or if we understand it, we do not have the means or the time to remove it. This is not the case with the nuclear threat. Whether they belong to a more evolved species, such as humans, or to simpler ones, such as animals, all beings seek peace, comfort, and security. Life is as dear to the mute animal as it Life is as dear to the mute animal as it is to any human being. Even the simplest insect strives for protection from dangers that threaten its life, such as each one of us wants to live and does not wish to die. So it is with all other creatures, though their power to affect this varies. My goodness. Just as each one of us wants to live and does not wish to die, it is with all other creatures, though their power to affect this varies. Broadly speaking, there are two types of happiness and suffering, mental and physical. Since I believe that mental suffering and happiness are more influential than their physical counterparts, I usually stress training the mind as a strategy to manage suffering and attain a more lasting state of happiness. Happiness is a combination of inner peace, economic viability, and above all, world peace. To achieve such goals, I feel it necessary to develop a sense of universal responsibility, a deep concern for all, irrespective of creed, color, sex, nationality, or ethnicity. The premise behind universal responsibility is the fact that we all want the same thing. Every being wants happiness and does not want suffering. If we do not respect this fact, there will be more and more suffering on this planet. If we adopt a self-centered approach to life and constantly try to use others for our own self-interest, we may gain temporary benefits, but in the long run, both personal happiness and world peace will be completely out of the question. In their quest for happiness, humans have used different methods, and all too often, these means have been aggressive and harsh. Behaving in ways utterly unbecoming the humanity, people commit terrible cruelties, inflicting suffering upon other living beings for the sake of selfish gains. In the end, such short-sighted actions bring nothing but suffering to ourselves and to others. Being born a human being is a rare event in itself, and it is wise to use this opportunity as beneficially as possible. We must keep in mind that we all want the same thing, so that one person or group does not seek happiness or glory at the expense of others. All this calls for a compassionate approach to global problems. Globalization means that the world is rapidly becoming smaller and more interdependent because of technology and international trade. As a result, we need one another more than ever before. In ancient times, problems were mostly family size, so they could be addressed at the family level. But the situation has changed. Today, one's nation's problems can no longer be satisfactorily resolved by itself alone. Too much depends on the interests, attitudes, and cooperation of other nations. A universal approach to world problems is the only sound basis for world peace. We are so closely interconnected that without a sense of universal responsibility and understanding that we really are part of one big family, human family. We're part of one big human family. We cannot hope to overcome the dangers of our very existence, let alone bring about peace and happiness. What does this entail? Once we recognize that all beings cherish happiness and do not want suffering, it becomes more morally wrong and pragmatically unwise to pursue our own happiness oblivious to the feelings and aspirations of all other members of our own human family. Actually, it's been 20 minutes, and that's a new page, and that's a new sentence. Well, it was great to have you on. Thank you so much, Ephraim, for joining us, and I will post when the next one shall be. Thank you for tuning in. Little semi-audiobook live reading, How to See Yourself as You Really Are, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I shall put a bookmarker, and I will see you soon.